You are listening to Did You Hear?
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 The Johnson County Library Podcast.
We are coming to you
From the Central Resource Library
in Overland Park, Kansas.
This is your Library Insider.
In this episode of Did You Hear? Host Dave Carson welcomes MakerSpace Facilitator Nick Ward-Bopp as he brings in Megan Foreman from Johnson County Department of Health and Environment and Laura Steele from Bike Walk KC to discuss some exciting developments regarding biking to Johnson County Library. We go in-depth into biking and our new FixIt station.
Welcome to another edition of Did You Hear? One of the things I love about this podcast is the variety of topics, and today we are talking about biking. We have Megan Foreman from Johnson County Health Department. Hello. And we have Laura Steele from Bike Walk KC.
Hello.
Welcome. And of course, Nick Ward-Bopp from our very own Makerspace here at the Central Resource Library. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, I'm back.
You're back. And by the way, he's a big star. Every time that we have a podcast with Nick Ward-Bopp, the numbers soar.
That has to be a joke.
No, it's true.
Okay.
It's true. Very, very popular. He's the voice of the Makerspace, if you will. So we're not just talking about biking for no reason at all, although it's a great idea to bike wherever you go. It's a nice form of transportation. But there's something unique and new at the Johnson County Library that is really an incentive to ride your bike to the library. And I'm going to start riding my bike to the library because I know that if my bike ever goes on the fritz and gets needs a repair, it gets broken, what do we have, Nick, that will help me?
We've got a brand new FixIt stand.
Fantastic. So what does that all entail?
So the FixIt stand has the Allen wrenches, flathead screwdriver, a lot of the proprietary wrenches that you need to tighten the bolts that are coming loose or take off a wheel, or most importantly for most people is just airing up a tire. So we have right next to the FixIt stand, we have a air pump, and it has a gauge so you can see what pressure it needs to be at. It works for both Presta and Schrader valves.
Wow, that's excellent. You know, it's so ironic that just yesterday on the way home for lunch, I saw a gentleman sitting in the shade on the side of the road repairing his bike, and I did not envy him. I mean, concrete's hot, and, you know, you have to have the forethought to have the tools with you before you go. So you have to anticipate that you're going to have a problem. It's nice to know that, you know, if you're going to ride to the library, you can do a little tune-up on your bike.
Yeah, and even better than just having the tools, Bike Walk KC is coming to teach people how to use the FixIt stand to do common repairs on your bike. So having the tools is one thing, but not, you know, following that up with the education to teach people, you know, the basics of, you know, how to clean your chain, how to do that basic maintenance so that you can prevent, you know, those common, you know, sitting in the hot sun on the side of the road. They're actually going to come at the end of the summer to teach us.
So, Laura, are you involved with that event?
I am. I'm the education program manager from Bike Walk KC, and so we've worked with the Johnson County Library. This is our second time offering like a Confident City cycling class, and we've worked numerous times with the Johnson County Department of Health and Environment. And so, you know, libraries are a really great place to pull together these types of resources.
Sure.
And to lend this information. And I mean, I think the idea of the FixIt stand out front is just amazing that, you know, as a public resource, it's there. It encourages people, you know, to come visit the library via bike. And if they have problems, there's an easy way to fix it.
Right.
And then pairing it with this on-site education is just another, you know, great component for us to be able to spread kind of the words about safe bicycling, and then give people the tools to maintenance their bikes and keep riding.
Well, that's great. How did the idea of having a FixIt station at the library come about?
I think it started with Laura and Maggie Priestmeyer, who used to work at Bike Walk KC, and now she works for the Public Works Department in the Kansas City, Missouri side. But they had an idea to actually just come and do the Confident City Cycling out here because they know we have a lot of people who want to learn how to ride a bike, want to learn how to do it safely and confidently. And what's really cool with that program, there's an earn a bike component. So not only do you get to, learn those skills and get out there and actually ride around, but you can earn a bike if you don't have one. So I think through that, we did that program, and then we're introduced to the Live Well grant and Megan and everything that they do, and that kind of snowballed into, hey, what if we put additional bike racks and a FixIt stand at the library?
Oh, that's fascinating. And the verbiage that you used to bike confidently, I think that is so important. I think there is a little bit of intimidation, right, of riding your bike. Our bike lanes aren't separated from our roads. I've talked to Nick about this, that when I lived in Columbia, Missouri, there was an initiative by an organization called PedNet. And there are a lot of folks in wheelchairs. In fact, there's a home there that provides services to wheel-bound folks, and lots of people that want to get out and walk and run. Lots of people want to use their bikes, but they actually physically separate the bike walking wheelchair path, so basically the sidewalk, away from the road. Here, we have a white line on the road, and so you're right there next to traffic. And so how do we make people feel a little bit more confident about, when the pathway is physically removed, I feel a little bit more confident. What can we do to help people feel a little bit more confident and secure? It's a tough question. I know that.
Well, I definitely think, first and foremost, kind of realizing that Kansas City is a car-centric region on both sides of the state line. And so the improvements in the facilities that are going down are, the initial baby steps towards changing the way drivers view cyclists and their use on the road, and by extension, any other vulnerable road user. So if it's somebody in a wheelchair, somebody who wants to use a scooter, rollerblading, pushing a stroller, whatever that mode of transportation is where somebody doesn't have a metal box protecting them. Hopefully, again, these facilities that are going down, more people using them, will kind of help shift the perception of that the cars are only the ones who are able to be on the roads. So
get more people using bikes so that you feel like it's a normal thing, and then people will start to think about it more.
Exactly. It becomes something that motorists watch for when they see it more often. So the reason the health department's actually been involved in a lot of this work with the library and with Bike Walk KC is really to shape the environment so that people are more physically active. 60% of our residents in Johnson County are overweight or obese, and we know that really is a risk factor in other health problems like high blood pressure or diabetes, stroke, heart attack, all of those things that we know essentially are killing adults in Johnson County. So what we really have done is partner with these great folks to make sure that the environment supports choices. So it's exactly what you all have been talking about. I can confidently ride my bike to the library. I know that I can fix up what I need to, and I can actually incorporate that into my life and the way that I do errands, the way that I get around town, and make a healthy habit something that lasts for a lifetime.
Yeah, and the new bike racks were installed for all of 2 hours before bikes were going on them, so there are people that we're not just encouraging to bike, they're already biking.
There's a need.
Yeah, and there are people where it's not necessarily a choice, this is their mode of transportation because they, are impaired in some way or can't afford to buy a car or have a physical impairment like you mentioned before where they may be on a wheelchair bound. So I think it's our responsibility to provide safe ways for everybody to get around.
Sure.
Absolutely. And when we at the health department think about other things that matter like mental health or access to resources that the library might have. You have a wealth of information and also other programs kind of right within the doors of your library. So by making it accessible without a car, we're also making all of the resources of the library accessible to folks who don't have other transportation.
Fantastic. Well, let me ask you this. Megan, Laura, Nick, how did these three organizations, the Johnson County Health Department, Bike Walk KC, and the Johnson County Library, how did you all come together to talk about this topic?
Sure. So at the Department of Health and Environment, we had a fairly large grant project that was really, the basis of that was to try and figure out how we make the healthy choice the easy choice. How do we shape the environment to support people in healthy habits? So we had already partnered with Bike Walk KC on some really exciting work with city planning and kind of thinking about how to redesign road use for all those different users that we've been talking about. And then we actually looked at the Central Resource Library because you all are located in an area of town where we know there's some significant health needs in the communities right around your library. Sure. So you have the MakerSpace and you have such wonderful resources here. So it was really exciting when we figured out that we could use the library as a space to bring in Bike Walk KC programming, but also to have a much more permanent presence with the FixIt stand and the racks and a terrific champion of these programs in Nick.
Now, you mentioned the one program. Mention that again. What program was that?
We've got Family Confident City Cycling that is starting in July, and it's going to be on Tuesday, July 23rd.
Okay.
Thursday, July 25th. The following Tuesday and Thursday, which is the 30th and August 1st. And that will be from 6 to 8 at the Central Resource Library.
And Nick, do people plan to come to all of those classes? Is it a series?
I'll let Laura speak to that a little bit more because they're the professionals who are putting this on and they know everything about the program.
Okay.
So yes, it is a series. We encourage everybody to come to all four because one way we know that people are investing their time in order to earn a bike. We really like to pair our bike giveaways with education, and so this shows some commitment, and we'd like to reward that with a bike. But also because we would like people to come and potentially be practicing the skills that we are demonstrating on a bike that they might be taking home. So they're getting familiar with it in a safe environment that's controlled, and we're there to help kind of guide them through maybe the way their bike shifts or how to adjust it for their right height. But yes, it is a series, and the foundation of it is safety. So safety for cycling, and then the following classes will be based on going out and doing parking lot drills. We're going to try and incorporate a little ride. I think last year when we were here, we actually went to a park that was just south of the library, and so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it starts to show people the ways that they can get around their town and don't have to use those major thoroughfares like 87th Street or whatever else it might be to get to the library, but they can start to learn and enjoy their city a little bit more because they know all the kind of ins and outs of it. And
Nick and I were having a conversation before we started about community connectedness. So another thing we know from the data at the health department is that Johnson County is really sort of suffering from a fraying of that social fabric, and there's not as many strong connections between neighbors as there used to be anymore.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that we really are excited to partner with these folks and kind of try and address some of that is this encouragement to get out into the neighborhood on foot or by bike and really sort of experience a little bit differently. Being right there on the street, you're maybe more apt to stop at the kids' lemonade stand or strike up a conversation with your neighbor or maybe know about a park that you don't see when you're driving by in your car.
Yeah.
It really removes the barriers when you're walking around in your city or in your neighborhood or you're biking around. You're so much more connected, not to just the sounds, the squirrels running around, the people outside, but it's crazy how it transforms your own view of your own neighborhood and your own connectedness of your city.
Yeah, sense of place. Those are all excellent points. I do have a naive question now. Okay, so when you go to all 4 of these programs, is there just one person that's getting a bike, or like it's a giveaway, or does every single person get a bike?
So if people have bikes, we would highly encourage them to bring their own bike.
Bring your own bike.
And to practice the skills on that.
Okay.
We do like to give our bikes away to people who really show a need for them.
Okay.
If somebody wants to bring a bike and switch it out maybe for another one that we have, we realize that a lot of times people buy bikes because they're shiny and pretty and they look like fun, but it wasn't exactly what they needed the bike for.
Wow.
And so this is a good opportunity at the same time to kind of try a variety of bikes. And if they so need to switch one out, maybe that bike will service somebody better who, didn't think so before. But we will kind of start to figure out, the people who are coming with an actual need for the bike. But again, we're encouraging people who have bikes to bring their own. So.
Sure. So, whether you have a bike right now or you're going to acquire one in the near future, now you can kind of rest a little easier because you can come to the Johnson County Library. You can park that bike right out front, and if it needs a little work, we've got all the tools available to you on our FixIt station. So, Laura, if I could you give us the titles of those events again and dates and times?
Yeah. So our family edition of Confident City Cycling will be on a Tuesday and Thursday starting July 23rd. So then the 25th, and then we'll come back the next week on the 30th, and August 1st. And those classes will be held from 6 to 8 here at the library. And then we're going to follow up about a month or so later in August with a Maintain Your Ride edition where we're actually highlighting the tools and the FixIt stand and how library patrons can utilize those. We're also going to take it as an opportunity to reach back out to people who would come to the Confident City Cycling and just check back in, say, hey, what barriers have you overcome? What are some success stories? What are some other ways that we can help you? And again, maybe find some further ways to partner with the library.
And that program is on August 15th from 6 to 8.
Great.
And it'll be right out in front of the new FixIt stand. So we'll be using the FixIt stand for the class.
And so, if you ever need to find those dates online, you can do that at jocolibrary.org/events and come by the Central Resource Library and visit the FixIt stand at any time. Did we miss a question you wish we would have asked? Do you have thoughts or stories about today's topic? Share them with us on Facebook, facebook.com/jocolibrary.
And now, our writer's quote of the day.
Hi, this is Charles Hauer. I'm a clerk at the Monticello branch. My quote is from Adam Savage. It doesn't matter if you're a model maker, a potter, a dancer, a programmer, a writer, a political activist, a teacher, a musician, a milliner, whatever. It's all the same. Making is making, and none of it is failure.
We leave you with sounds from one of our locations. It's your audio minute we call Library Zen. So we're standing outside of the Central Resource Library on 87th and Farley. We are to the northeast of the front entrance. We are just right outside the front entrance. And if you're a regular patron of this library, you've come in and out these doors, you've probably not seen what we've just added. And that is, well, what is this, Nick?
So we've got a bike FixIt station. So we've got all the Allen wrenches, proprietary tools that you need to tighten your brakes, fix anything that's loosened up, as well as a nice pump to air up your tires, a stand to lift your bike on so that it's not falling over, and then 3 bike racks right next to it in the shape of a bike.
Yeah, so you can't miss these. These look like bicycles, and they're a place to lock your bike up. And it looks so user-friendly that I think I could figure this out, actually. So I've got the bike air pump here. That looks cool. And then we've got, there you go. There's some sound for you. That's all the different tools that are available. And then place to put your bike up to work on it in case you need to work on it out on the field.
For more episodes of Did You Hear, go to the Johnson County Library website, jocolibrary.org/didyouhear.